I struggle with the new year. All the potential possibilities of directions I can go, and new goals to set, and the idea of being a better person or bettering my lifestyle and all that. It just can become so overwhelming and exhausting. And starting the year exhausted is an awful way to start the year. So, I want to talk about my struggles with the new year. And if you feel the same, maybe I have some ways that could help you feel a little less anxious for the new year to come. But first, I want to just give a quick rundown on what I'm doing in this video. So, I started off just doing some sketches. I was thinking originally that this video would only be me sketching in my sketchbook, but honestly, it just felt so... I don't know, if you do art, you probably understand this feeling where all you want to do is you just want to create something, but when you start making it, you kind of don't want to do it. You want to do art, but you don't want to do art. It's kind of confusing. So after completing a sketchbook page, then I end up creating a full piece digitally on my iPad because sketching just wasn't going well. So instead of having hope and new motivation, the new year often brings feelings of anxiety and a little bit of sadness and feeling very overwhelmed for me. I often look back instead of forward, and I feel like I haven't done as much as I should have this past year. A whole year gone, and I feel like I've ran out of time with nothing to show for it. That is how this year started, the same way as many others. But this time, I tried making a list of everything I can remember that happened this past year. Not just accomplishments, but trips, moments, and events. This way I can kind of see a lot of the things that I've done that year, so I don't feel like I've just completely wasted it, because chances are you probably didn't. Yes, I could have made a few better decisions and been a little bit more productive on the days where I felt really lazy, but all in all, a lot of things have happened this year, and it's good just to reflect and try to remember what did happen and not all the things that didn't happen. So every year I make a year bucket list, just things I want to either do or accomplish by the end of the year, and then at the end, or the start of the new year, I reread it and see all the things I've checked off, and check off anything that I haven't yet. If you haven't made one of these, I think it's a good way to start the year. You can put pretty much anything on it. I would suggest to keep each item small, since for me, my bucket list is like 100 things, and you can't do 100 big things in a year's time. So I think that just having a couple big things in there, but mostly keeping things small. But it could be anything from make homemade ice cream to put up a new fence. It can be something that you want to do for fun, or some mundane task that you actually have to get done this year. This year, I wanted to feel a little more motivated than I did last year. The new year is often regarded as a fresh start, a clean slate to better ourselves. But all this is, if this idea isn't applied properly, is just hoping that your future self will make better decisions and be more productive than you were this past year. But the thing is, that future self is still just you. Just because I want to sketch every day doesn't mean it'll just happen. It's something I have to work towards. I think goals without a plan are pretty much pointless. But making a plan can be very difficult. This year, I want to try backwards mapping my goals. If you haven't heard of that, I'll just give you a simple rundown. It's when you take a goal and you break it down into smaller and smaller pieces, into steps that you can actually take. Everything that needs to happen in order to make that goal a reality, and then you can take those and put them in a proper order, and then at least you know what you're doing next. I think that I'm a person who needs a lot of structure. I'm not good at having a goal and just meandering my way there, because if I do that, it'll never happen. Although I have been guilty of trying this, and every time I never get to where I'm supposed to get until I sit down and make a plan. If I don't know exactly what task I need to accomplish in order to get to the next task, then nothing is going to happen. Knowing this about myself means I need to act on it in future projects and not just talk about it. I actually have to do it. And good thing I like to write things down. If you're somebody who feels like you need a lot of structure as well, honestly, I really recommend just writing things down and planning them so that once you finish a task, a step towards that accomplishment, then you know exactly what next step needs to be taken, and so you're not kind of in this limbo period. I know I'm making this video under the guise of being at the beginning of the new year, but honestly, I don't know every goal or project I'm going to want to do this year. Ideas change, steps will be postponed. This is something I want to try to implement all year, not just because it's the new year. I think alleviating a lot of that new year overwhelm is just realizing that there doesn't need to be so much pressure to figure out the entire year in just the first few weeks. Some goals may span many years, or only a few weeks. Priorities can change. I'm not good at accepting change, but I know it is important in order to take some pressure off of myself and the new year. Don't get me wrong, some pressure is good. Not everything is supposed to be easy. Pressure can make us move forward. But for me, too much doesn't urge me into action, but the opposite. So I guess this is a long way to say that having aspirations for the new year is a good thing. But don't rely on some future motivation to accomplish them. Instead, take some steps now to work towards them. Make a plan, set your goals, accept that, it might take longer than a year, or your priorities might change. Okay, well, I'm going to end this with some of my goals that I want to accomplish this year. One of my goals this year is to fill my sketchbook. I'm not going to say sketch X amount of times a week, because that is too complicated and would require me tracking it and also for just everything in that week to align. So simply, I'm going to try to finish my sketchbook this year. And it's an easy way to measure if I sketched more this year. I also want to make the first chapter of a how to draw book I've had an idea for. It's got more of a story element to it, not just how to draw a cat, because I think those are kind of boring. But that's something I want to do this year that has actual steps I need to take in order to get to that goal. So that's one of those goals that I want to take and map out so that I'm not just hoping that I'll finish the chapter this year, but I'll actually have miniature little goals, little steps to take in order to finish it. And one more, because I like the number 3, I would like to finish painting all the creature cards for our card game. I know that's not something I've really talked about a lot, but that's something just me and my husband are working on for fun. I don't think it'll become anything. It's definitely still a big project. I think I have to draw, I think we're getting close to like 60 different designs just for the creature cards. Anyways, so it's a lot of work, but I would like to get at least that portion of it done. And of course, these are all art related because, well, art. Alright, well, I hope some of you drew along or at least found this video a little helpful. I'll talk to you soon. Bye!